Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto, where we gather to nurture connection, share life's joys and sorrows, and act for love and justice. We welcome you. Whether you're joining us from around the corner or around the world, online or in person, you belong here because you are here. And whether you're a longtime member of this community or visiting us for the first time, you still belong here because you are here. Every spring, I am compelled to protest how March comes in, like the saying that March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb, because it's not true. At least not in southern Ontario, where we transition from months of cold to a tapas of warmth and then back to cold, just giving us that last taste of winter. It's vexing. And yet, when the sun suddenly beams out from the gray cloud canvas to brighten the bark on the trees, I feel and hear the excitement of the birds for the spring awakening. Within such beauty and nourishment, I'm reminded to honor our Mother Earth and acknowledge with gratitude Indigenous sustainable stewardship of these lands and their worldview of all our relations. The land provides us with nourishment and protection and a rich environment where we can live, love, play, and thrive. First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto gathers on the ancestral homelands of many Indigenous peoples from time immemorial. We strive as individuals and as a congregation to be informed, to honor and care for the land, and to engage with integrity with Indigenous peoples. We are all treaty people. My name is Catherine Lake, and I'm a member of this community and your worship leader for today's service. I'm joined by Gregory O on piano, Director of Congregational Music, Dallas Bergen, and our beloved choir, Angela Clausen, Director of Lifespan Religious Education and Storyteller, and our angelic AV technician, Matt Rideout. And I'd like to extend a special welcome back to Toronto First's affiliated community minister, Captain Reverend Nicole Mackay. Reverend Nicole serves as a chaplain in the Canadian Armed Forces and is currently posted to the base in Borden. She is the first UU military chaplain to be serving in Canada, and we are always happy to have her return to her congregational home and grace our pulpit. Quick announcements before an important announcement. There's an emergency procedures info session happening right after service. It's the same as the one that was in the fall, so if you saw it then you can skip it or join. Quick note, Sir Burlov will be selling raffle tickets after service to support our neighbors at Oakwood Vaughan Healthy Aging, and First Light always shares info about our congregational happenings and community events like tomorrow's Rally for Justice for Grassy Narrows. So read First Light, because I'm handing over the time of the life of the congregation to our friend Lou Russell for an important announcement on the Ministerial Search Committee.
Good morning, and it's so wonderful to be in our beautiful building, and I have a bit of an update for you, if I could. Okay, so I am the co-chair for the Minister's Search Committee with Beth Ann McFadden, and on the committee we have Harold Wright, Judy Clark, and Kim Sadarski, who's not here, and Terry Marks. This is a brief announcement. There's not a lot of details. We have in the coffee room a blue tablecloth where we can answer any questions or any inquiries that you may have after. I don't have a lot of time, so I want to give you a quick update of what we've done so far. We've done a survey. We hosted 12 focus group, and we had 2 congregational workshops. We gathered all this information, and we used the UUA portal, which is kind of like a dating service. We enter all our information there, and ministers that are looking for a placement will read down whoever is looking for a settled minister and say, hey, Toronto is looking for a minister, and they apply. We go through their minister records. We do intensive, like really intensive video interviews, and we do a short list. With that short list, we invite the minister to Toronto for 2 days to show our beautiful building. And by the way, they're all impressed about the accessibility and how green it is. They said, you must be a really loving congregation, caring congregation. And also we want to get to know them. They want to get to know us. So we all behaved. Well, you normally behave. So where are we? On Monday, last Monday, we submit our rankings of the ministers that were shortlisted, and the minister submit their rankings about what congregation that they prefer. And if anybody spoke to me this past week, know that I am insane. I am. Anyways, on Thursday, it was announced we have a match. And we are over the moon. And I hope you will be over the moon. Beth Ann made the offer, and they promptly accepted. Well, okay, so that's the good news. The bad news, I can't tell you who it is. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. There are 2 things that have to happen. The negotiation team, which is made up of Chris Lee, Peter Bryden, Ryan Newell, and myself, we have to finalize the contract. Once we finalize the contract, they have to tell their congregation. And once that's done, hopefully it'll be done by April the 12th. So please listen in, even the people online, and we have the big reveal. Okay. The next important thing is candidating week. The minister will come up. Their first service, their first sermon will be on the 19th. And then on the 26th, it'll be their second service. And after, we have a vote to call. And that is very important. Again, that we have a table. If you have any questions, please ask us. There's a criteria for you to able to vote. 1 is you have to be a member, and 2, you have to give an identifiable contribution. And if you've been using the tap machine and you have not been using the QR code to attach your donation, it's considered anonymous. Okay, so you have to give, and it doesn't have to be there's no minimum. Okay, so you have to give a financial contribution within the past 12 months. The last thing is Beth Ann is the candidate coordinator, and it's a massive job. She's going to try to get over 200 members to meet the minister. So it's a logistic nightmare. So if you think that, so we need volunteers. If you can help with the setup, with the cleanup, if you're interested in hosting a potluck lunch or a potluck dinner, please speak to Beth Ann. Okay, so we want to make sure that the minister meets as many people and you meet the minister. So anyways, if you have any questions, we're in the back. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for this honor and privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
That committee has been doing such tremendous work, and I must say, holding our fragile hearts in your hands with care. So we are so grateful for the work that you've done and very excited about a match. Thank you, Lou. Now, as we now begin our service, for those online, I invite you to light a candle or chalice if you have one close by, and join with us in saying our chalice lighting words. As we light our chalice, may its flame kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitment, and the light of truth. And now we'll take like a really quick moment to greet our neighbors in the way that they feel comfortable. Oh, sorry about that. So now, rise as you're able and join in singing together hymn number 362, which is in the gray hymnal, Rise Up, O Flame.
Good morning. It's amazing to be with you this morning. Our opening words are entitled The Great Teachers in Life by Jason Cook. We are seekers on a quest to discover truth and meaning. Sometimes we think we've found it wrapped up, glimmering with newness straight off the intellectual assembly line. All the answers right there for us, and others if they'd only listen. But truth has a way of coming in disguise, sometimes wearing rags and sometimes finery, but so often cloaked from our immediate sight, and sometimes that which we have rejected, that which we have let go of or decided was only for others, but not for us. That can be our teacher. Let our time of worship be an acknowledgement of the never-ending journey towards truth and meaning. and our appreciation of those we learn from along the way. From our many and varied paths, we arrive here as individuals to build up within and beyond these walls a community of commitment, love, and hope. To express the highest aspirations of our congregation, let us join now in the words of our covenant. Love is our doctrine, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all.
Beloveds online and in person, as we wrap up our monthly theme of seeking wisdom, we share this picture book, The Empty Pot. Demi's husband, Sesu, who also goes by Jesse Huang, told Demi traditional tales from his childhood in China, where his grandmother passed down ancient stories to him, among which is this tale, which is sometimes also known as the Emperor's Test, or Peng's Vase. We value it as a wisdom story, and we also remember that in oral folk traditions, wisdom is carried, reshaped, and retold. There are many ways this story is told by people from the culture it comes from, and we should keep in mind that this is a North American picture book, which reflects the perspective of the person who created the book. The Empty Pot. A long time ago in China, there was a boy named Peng who loved flowers. Anything he planted burst into bloom. Up came flowers, bushes, and even big fruit trees, as if by magic. Everyone in the kingdom loved flowers too. They planted them everywhere, and the air smelled like perfume. The emperor loved birds and animals, but flowers most of all, and he tended his own garden every day. But the emperor was very old. He needed to choose a successor to the throne. Who would his successor be? And how would the emperor choose? Because the emperor loved flowers so much, he decided to let the flowers choose. The next day, a proclamation was issued. All the children in the land were to come to the palace. There, they would be given special flower seeds by the emperor. Whoever can show me their best in a year's time, he said, will succeed me to the throne. That means that they will become the emperor. This news created great excitement throughout the land. Children from all over the country swarmed to the palace to get their flower seeds. All the parents wanted their children to be chosen emperor, and all the children hoped they would be chosen too. When Peng received his seed from the emperor, he was the happiest child of all. He was sure he could grow the most beautiful flower. Peng filled a flower pot with rich soil. He planted the seed in it very carefully. He watered it every single day. He couldn't wait to see it sprout and grow and blossom into a beautiful flower. Day after day passed, but nothing grew in his pot. Peng was very worried. He put new soil into a bigger pot, and then he transferred the seed into the rich black soil. Another 2 months he waited. Still, nothing happened. Gee, by and by, the whole year had passed. Spring came, and all the children put on their best clothes to greet the emperor. They rushed to the palace with their beautiful flowers, eagerly hoping to be chosen. Peng was ashamed of his empty pot. He thought the other children would laugh at him because, for once, he couldn't get a flower to grow. His clever friend ran by holding a great big plant. "Peng," he said, "you're not really going to the emperor with an empty pot, are you? Couldn't you grow a great big flower like mine?" "I've grown lots of flowers better than yours," Peng said. "It's just This seed won't grow. Peng's father overheard this and said, "You did your best, and your best is good enough to present to the emperor." Holding the pot in his hands, Peng went straight away to the palace. The emperor was looking at the flowers slowly, one by one. How beautiful all the flowers were. But the emperor was frowning and didn't say a word. Finally, he came to Peng. Peng hung his head in shame, expecting to be punished. The emperor asked him, "Why did you bring an empty pot?" Peng started to cry and replied, "I planted the seed you gave me and I watered it every day, but it didn't sprout. I put it in a better pot with better soil, but still, it didn't sprout. I tended it all year long, but nothing grew. So today I had to bring an empty pot without a flower. It was the best I could do." When the emperor heard these words, a smile slowly spread over his face, and he put his arm around Peng. Then he exclaimed to one and all, "I have found him. I have found the one person worthy of being emperor. Where you got your seeds from, I do not know, for the seeds I gave you had all been cooked, so it was impossible for any of them to grow." I admire Peng's great courage to appear before me with the empty truth, and now I reward him with my entire kingdom and make him emperor of all the land. For people of all ages, today after the service, you have the wonderful opportunity to learn about our emergency procedures. And if you have already done that in the fall, I invite you to think about our Make and Take project for spring, which is on display at the very back of the sanctuary, and to join us at one of two tables, one to make window transparencies, and the other, thank you to Hannah and Judy, who are hosting a watercolor postcard with Pussy Willow on it. So I can't even recall, because there have been so many people who have helped me cut things out and prepare everything. So if you are one of those people, thank you very much for being a part of this project. And children who would like to come with us, we're going downstairs. We're talking about spring, and is it spring yet, which has already been mentioned, and about the turtles. The very first turtle that came up from its brumation or hibernation in Smythe Park has now been seen basking in the sun, rewarming its body. And so we'll learn a little bit about how amazing turtles are.
Thank you, Angela. I'd like to call up Jill Caskey now for her testimony. Jill is a longtime member of our community and currently sits on the board of directors. Bless her heart.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm Jill Caskey, and I'm a lifelong Unitarian, sort of. My extended family has been UU for generations, but once I left home, I didn't go to church very much. Studies, marriage, parenthood, work, in short, life kept me busy, and I didn't feel like I needed the church. But then that whirlwind of life began to overwhelm me. I was frantically busy, and yet I felt like something was missing. Maybe, I thought, a dose of Unitarianism would help. So I went to a service at First U. The uplifting music, thought-provoking sermon, and the people who acknowledged my presence in gentle, genuine ways overwhelmed me with a profound sense that I was in exactly the right place, exactly where I needed to be. Later, when I brought my family along and saw that my kids experienced a similar welcoming embrace, I was hooked. What I thought would be a small dose of Unitarianism to alleviate the pain of midlife turned into a deeper commitment to First U as a community. The winter retreats for families and coming-of-age programs helped my kids grow and feel like they too belonged here. I felt strongly that I needed to give back to the community and that had welcomed me and my family. Before I became an official member of the church, I offered what I could. Initially, some cash in the basket, back in the old days, and then monthly donations. My commitment has solidified over time. I became an official member of the congregation during the pandemic and have served on the board now for 2 years. I volunteer and increase my pledge when possible because First U has provided my spiritual and ethical anchor and compass. The services and sermons reinforce my values, hence the anchor, while challenging me to think and act with more intention, hence the compass. UU principles have helped me face vexing family relationships and resolve petty squabbles at work. I love how the themes of the music and sermons are not static on like a repeat liturgical calendar. They help me understand our changing world and how I can create positive change. The church and all of you here help me face the myriad challenges and crises of today with hope. And for that, I am truly grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Jill. We come now into a time of contemplation, meditation, or prayer. A time we begin with words by Rainer Maria Rilke, which will be followed by silence, then music with the lighting of candles and the sharing of our sorrows and joys. With my Anglican upbringing, when I initially decided to attend a service at Toronto First Unitarian, I came for the answers. Finding none in the traditional sense, I stayed for the questions. Indeed, in our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we believe in the search for truth and meaning and that there are many sources of wisdom. We respect the answers other religions may proffer, but for us, it's the questions and the mysteries that are central to our faith. The questions are ours to keep, to share, to ponder. As this month's theme on wisdom comes to a close, I selected our meditation this morning from Rainer Maria Rilke and his Letters to a Young Poet. The letters are a correspondence between Rilke and a military conscript who yearned to be a poet, and who initially wrote asking for advice and critique of his poetry. Rilke never sent criticism, but encouraged him to trust his inner judgment. From Letter 4, written July 1903, Rilke writes, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers which cannot be given to you now, because you could not be able to live them. And the point is, to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer.
We come now to tend to the sacred bonds that bind our lives to one another, affirming that what touches the life of one of us affects us all. In these moments, we seek to widen our caring ministry by sharing the joys, sorrows, and milestones in our own lives and those of our congregation. We hold in our thoughts all those who are heavy-hearted, those grieving, facing illnesses. May they find comfort. I invite you to bring to mind those you are holding in your heart today. For those online, I invite you to share your sorrows in the chat. And if you are here in the room with us, you may speak your sorrow briefly now.
stage 4 stomach cancer. I was diagnosed 10 months ago.
Anniversary of Angelica's death.
Alice Cummings.
Friends in Cuba who are struggling terribly.
Mingled with our sorrows are also joys. This week, we will mark Transgender Day of Visibility, and we recognize the gift of our non-binary and transgender siblings in our congregation and beyond these walls. We also lift up our Jewish friends and neighbors as they celebrate Passover this week. May it be a time of peace and celebration. Life offers us gifts and delight. May we cultivate gratitude. I invite you to bring to mind all that you are grateful for today. For those online, invite you to share your joys in the chat. And for those in person, you're invited to name your joy in about one breath.
Cousins visiting.
Lexi.
We will light one final candle this morning for those online and for all the unspoken and unseen joys and sorrows of our lives and those we encounter. May all that has been shared here strengthen and renew the bonds of this beloved community in both joy and sorrow, in struggle and success. May we together embrace life's blessings and endure its challenges in the sacred hope that we might grow stronger through both. May we summon the strength to do our part to heal the hurts of our world, and may we live with courage and compassion, with gratitude and joy. Today and always, may it be so. Our reading this morning is by Alessandra Neisther Santos, entitled Remembering. We make ourselves one body, something larger than we were before, with all that feels alive in me and all that feels alive in you. We are interconnected. We are one entity, having all these divergent, disparate, seemingly contentious experiences, but still part of this one body. Here we are conspiring together. Here we are breathing together. Here we are moving together, moving for the sake of our whole body, because that is who we are. This is a reunion. We are remembering. I invite you to rise in body and in spirit and join in the singing of hymn number 34 in the gray hymnal, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Jill, I have to chuckle a little this morning because you mentioned not wanting to follow the lectionary, and this morning, that is exactly where we begin. We are gathering this morning on Palm Sunday, a day when our Christian siblings within our congregation and all around the world are reading this text from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 21, verses 1 through 11. When they had come near Jerusalem and had reached Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say this: 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them immediately." This took place to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. "Tell the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their cloaks on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and that followed were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest." When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in turmoil, asking, "Who is this?" And the crowds were saying, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee." The story of this procession is a strange and yet powerful story. As Jesus enters the city on a donkey, a symbol of peace, while the people gather waving palms, laying down cloaks, and shouting, "Hosanna, save us." It's a gathering of joy and of hope, a moment where something feels possible amidst the rule of empire. Within days, though, the energy shifts and the same crowd turns, because we know the way that this wisdom story ends. The crowds who were shouting, "Hosanna, save us," are the very same who will shout, "Crucify." And so this story raises uncomfortable but relevant questions. What makes a crowd wise? And what makes it not. There is a contemporary teacher of gathering, Priya Parker, you may have read her book, The Art of Gathering, who tells a simple but revealing truth, that when people come together without a clear purpose or intention, the gathering doesn't become neutral, it becomes shallow. She describes what she calls the chill host, the one who doesn't want to impose, who doesn't want to shape the space, and just lets things unfold as it might happen. But instead, she says, what happens is not freedom, it becomes drift and disconnection. The space invites the loudest voices to take over, and the deeper purpose of the gathering becomes lost. And so her insight is this: for a gathering to be meaningful, it requires intention. It requires someone or a community to take responsibility for what is being created. It comes back to relationship, and one of accountability, in which the container that is created and held becomes the sacred purpose. This accountability asks us to look beyond the reality we would prefer or the story that feels good. It demands that we become fully aware of the complex reality and the inconvenient truths. So we have to ask the questions: what is actually happening here? Who is impacted? What am I not seeing? And we understand that real life is very rarely simple. In our own tradition, we gather on Sundays to renew our spirits, to remember that our lives are bound together, to work towards justice and liberation, for we are not free until we are all free. We gather to open our hearts to sources of wisdom within and beyond ourselves. Maybe not our favorite, but also to grow in our ability to tolerate discomfort, while also tending to one another with gentleness and compassion. We recognize that when we gather together, energy builds. We focus our attention on what matters, lifting up something or someone worthy of our hope. Our sense of accountability is not something that we tend to alone, but something we do in relationship. We ask ourselves the question of whose voices are being heard and whose are not. Who are the people on the margins in our gatherings? Who might be harmed if we move too quickly? Or what happens if we move with attentive care? For us to gather in wisdom, we must have the ability to slow things down. Not to stop our momentum, but instead to keep us connected. This is how we check in with one another. This is how we tend to the bonds between us. The wisdom story of Palm Sunday reminds us that the line between celebration and destruction can be thin. And so we have to remember that wisdom is slow. If it is fueled by urgency, it is a sign that we need to pause and reevaluate. In the Hebrew scriptures, wisdom, or choma, is something you live into. It is not something you possess. It is not the kind of wisdom we usually think of, like facts, peer-reviewed articles, even the answers that you finally arrive at after many hours of reflection. Choma is something different. It is rooted in the word for craftsmanship. It is a wisdom you carry with your hands, wisdom of builders and weavers and people who learn by doing, by paying attention, by trying and failing and trying again. It's not something abstract, but embodied. It is the path that you walk again and again. Because true wisdom is not something you hold, but a relationship you tend. Not with certainty, but with attunement. So it's not an arrival, but a movement. It is not possession, but practice. Maybe that is the invitation for us, especially today. We are so often taught to look for wisdom as something you achieve, something you attain, the right set of beliefs, a clear answer, or that moment where we finally have it all figured out. I wish. But the reality is, wisdom is something that you step into, something you practice, something that you grow with slowly over time. And so like a procession, we begin in one place, and little by little we move forward. We are uncertain as to where the road may lead, not always getting it right, but with a commitment to listen to that still small voice that carries out into the street, in our lives, and with one another, inviting us forward. Wisdom in gathering includes our willingness to be transformed, to allow for change. We hold to our convictions with a sense of humility. Our Unitarian Universalist traditions remind us that we don't have the full picture, and so we open our hearts to learning and growth, even when it's uncomfortable, most especially when it's uncomfortable. Our modern day gatherings have taken some different shapes. We don't lay palm branches out on the roads or stretch out our coats as a sign of welcome or to make the road easier to travel. Some of our gatherings and protests are in front of symbols of power, of empire, of significance. But we also gather online. We scroll, we click, we share. And in all of those spaces, we organize ourselves to share ideas, share our outrage, be inspired, and to grow in our sense of hope. And so in this world where information flows quickly, and it can be easy to be misled by misinformation and disinformation, we must be responsible stewards and members of our community, discerning which processions lead towards wisdom and which ones only feel as though they do. This is the time to ask ourselves, whose voices are we following right now? What is getting our attention? What is shaping our emotional climate? What influences are shaping us to believe that a matter is urgent, important, or true? Alongside these questions, we have to take an honest inventory of our sources of information. Just as we believe in our theology that we are drawing on multiple sources. This is our invitation to practice that theology. Because the attention that we give is a form of devotion. It is the sacred choice of where we are giving our energy, which shapes the direction of our lives. I want to be clear here that this is not a call to disengage from the world, to withdraw our energy or our passion. Because we need movements. We need shared hope. We need people who are willing to show up, to shout, and to act. The crowd that gathered on Palm Sunday wasn't wrong to long for liberation. Their hope was real. But without grounding, it can become unstable. Collective energy without discernment can be easily redirected. When fear is dressed up as certainty, it can feel incredibly compelling. It can give us the illusion of clarity, of knowing exactly who is right and exactly who is wrong, who belongs and who doesn't. It can move through a crowd quickly, catching hold of our nervous systems, urging us to act before we've even had a chance to fully reflect. And when that happens, we can find ourselves participating in something we don't fully understand, carried along by momentum rather than grounded in wisdom. This is why discernment matters. This is why slowing down matters. Not to silence our passion, but to root it. We need to be the people who will show up for liberation, show up for care, and who will stay accountable, connected, and open. Because this world does not need more noise, and now more than ever, it needs wise movements. We need to be within communities who are willing to discern and plan, not react. We need to deepen our connections and our learnings. We need to amplify voices with intention. So as we move through the world in these complicated times, let us grow in understanding of who we are following, what messages we are amplifying, and to what we are giving attention and therefore power. Every procession, both ancient and modern, is an act of collective discernment, a declaration of what is believed to be worthy. Beloveds, may we choose wisely. May we move with intention. And together, may we become a procession for love and wisdom. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen. I'd like to invite us to take a few moments of silent reflection.